The rhythmic clatter of Isabel's keyboard echoed through the dimly lit apartment, a symphony of clicks and clacks composing the soundtrack of her solitary life. At 35, she was a seasoned, ethical hacker, her fingers dancing across the keys with the practiced ease of a virtuoso pianist. The glow of the multiple monitors cast an ethereal blue light on her face, highlighting the determined set of her jaw and the glint of steely resolve in her eyes. Isabel had always been an outsider in her own family. While her younger sister, Sophia, embodied the picture-perfect daughter, excelling at everything from ballet to baking, Isabel found solace in the digital world. Lines of code were her poetry, algorithms her companions. This difference had driven a wedge between her and her parents, their disappointment a constant ache in her heart. The memory of the day she was thrown out, labeled an eccentric and a waste of space, still stung. But that bitterness had fueled her determination. She had vowed to make it on her own terms, and a decade later, she had carved a niche for herself in the cybersecurity world, her reputation preceding her. The shrill ring of her phone pierced the silence, shattering the rhythm of her typing. She glanced at the caller ID, her mother's number. A knot of apprehension tightened in her stomach. Her parents rarely called, and when they did, it was usually an awkward silence punctuated by forced pleasantries. With a deep breath, she answered, "Hello." "Isabel, it's Mom," came her mother's voice, laced with a tremor that sent a jolt of unease through Isabel. We need your help, honey." Isabel's brow furrowed. "What's wrong?" The concern in her voice was laced with a hint of wariness, a remnant of old wounds. Her mother hesitated, a sniffle audible through the receiver. "There's been a terrible mistake. Someone hacked into our accounts, and now they're threatening to expose everything." A surge of adrenaline shot through Isabel. Hacking was her world, but this was different. This was personal. "What do you mean, expose everything?" Her mother's voice cracked. They have all our financial records, Isabel, years of bad investments, unpaid bills, everything. They're saying if we don't pay them, they'll leak it all to the world." Isabel's mind raced. A cyber attack on her parents? It felt too targeted, too specific. A cold dread settled in her gut. "Who is this they?" "We don't know, honey. They call themselves the Puppeteers." The name sent a shiver down Isabel's spine. The Puppeteers were a notorious hacking group, known for their ruthlessness and their penchant for public humiliation. This wasn't just some petty extortion. This was a full-blown cybercrime. "How much do they want?" Isabel asked, already formulating a plan in her head. "1 million rupees," her mother stammered, the sum clearly astronomical for them. "We can't afford it, Isabel. We don't know what to do." Isabel shut her eyes, the weight of their situation pressing down on her. 1 million rupees. Helping her parents go against her principles. But the thought of their lives being destroyed, their reputation tarnished, fueled a fire of determination within her. "Don't worry, Mom," she said, her voice firm despite the turmoil within. "I'll handle this." She hung up the phone, the rhythmic clatter of her keyboard resuming with a newfound urgency. This wasn't just about protecting her parents' finances anymore. This was about unraveling the truth, about confronting the ghosts of her past, and maybe, just maybe, about mending the broken bridge between her and her family. But first, she had to get to the bottom of this, and fast. The Puppeteers were playing a dangerous game, and Isabel, the outcast daughter, the ethical hacker, was about to rewrite the rules. Isabel plunged into the digital abyss, her fingers a blur across the keyboard. The familiar hum of her computer thrummed in the background, a comforting constant amidst the chaos swirling in her mind. Her parents' panicked voices echoed in her head, fueling her determination to dismantle the puppeteer's web of deceit. The first step, tracing the origin of the attack. Hours melted into an inky blur as Isabel sifted through layers of digital deception. The hackers were good, leaving a trail as cold and elusive as a phantom. But Isabel was relentless. She was a bloodhound on a scent, her code a virtual leash leading her closer with each passing moment. Finally, a flicker of movement on the screen. A faint anomaly, a hidden IP address nestled deep within the code. Isabel's heart hammered against her ribs. This could be it, the first crack in the puppeteer's facade. With a surge of adrenaline, she delved deeper, the digital world morphing into a labyrinth of ones and zeros. The IP address led her to a dark web marketplace, a seedy underbelly of the internet teeming with illegal activity. Her stomach churned as she navigated the virtual black market, the stench of anonymity and malice clinging to every virtual corner. Here, amidst stolen data and illicit transactions, she hoped to find a clue, a whisper of information that would lead her to the puppeteers. Days blurred into nights. Sleep became a distant memory, replaced by the relentless pursuit of justice. Isabel scoured forums, infiltrated chatrooms, her avatar a silent observer in a world of digital shadows. The deeper she ventured, the more unsettling the truth became. One evening, amidst a flurry of cryptic messages, a username caught her eye as Strings. A shiver danced down her spine. Strings was a notorious black hat hacker, a rogue operative rumored to be affiliated with the puppeteers. This could be her golden ticket, a direct line to the enemy. Taking a deep breath, Isabel crafted a message, her words carefully chosen, a digital bait designed to lure Strings out. She hit send, a knot of anticipation tightening in her gut. The wait was agonizing, the silence broken only by the hum of her computer and the frantic beating of her heart. Then, a notification blinked on the screen. Strings had responded. Looking for something, Ghost, the message read, the anonymity laced with a hint of amusement. Isabel's pulse quickened. This was it. The game was afoot. Ignoring the tremor in her hands, she typed a reply, her voice disguised through a voice modulator, a digital mask to hide her identity. "I'm looking for information," she wrote, her words laced with a steely glint. "Information about a recent performance by the puppeteers." A tense silence followed. Then, Strings replied, a single word dripping with malice. "Price?" Isabel knew this was a gamble. But she had no choice. The fate of her family hung in the balance. With a deep breath, she typed her response, her fingers steady despite the storm raging within. "I have what you want, but first, I need a name." The screen went dark. Isabel leaned back in her chair, the weight of the exchange pressing down on her. Had she made the right move? Or had she just stepped into a digital lion's den? Only time and the next message from Strings would tell. The silence stretched on, a taut string vibrating with unspoken tension. Isabel stared at the blank screen, her mind a whirlwind of possibilities. Had Strings, the enigmatic black hat hacker, taken the bait? Or was she left dangling, a lone player in a high-stakes digital game? Hours bled into the night, the apartment illuminated only by the ethereal glow of her computer monitors. Exhaustion gnawed at the edges of her consciousness, but surrender wasn't an option. The weight of her parents' situation, their financial woes exposed, and their reputation threatened, spurred her onwards. Just when doubt threatened to engulf her, a notification blinked on the screen. Her heart leaped into her throat. It was Strings, the cryptic message, a single word, speak. Isabel took a deep breath, her fingers flying across the keyboard. She couldn't afford to tip her hand just yet. Information was power, and she needed every advantage she could get. What guarantees do I have? She typed, her voice modulator disguising her true identity. How do I know this isn't a trap? The reply came swiftly, a sardonic chuckle echoing through the text. Trust, Ghost, is a luxury we can't afford in this line of work. You either play or you walk away. Isabel gritted her teeth. The hacker was right. Trust was a fragile commodity in the dark corners of the internet. She had to take a leap of faith, a calculated risk that could backfire spectacularly. All right, she conceded, pushing through the knot of apprehension in her stomach. Tell me, who hired the puppeteers to target my family? Another agonizing silence followed. Isabel could almost feel Strings scrutinizing her, dissecting her intentions through the digital veil. Finally, the message arrived, a single name stark against the black screen. Sophia. The revelation crashed over Isabel like a tidal wave. Sophia, her younger sister, the golden child, the perfect daughter. The betrayal was a bitter pill to swallow, a fresh wound layered upon the scars of their fractured past. A wave of nausea washed over her. How could Sophia do this? Why would she stoop to such lengths? The pain was visceral, tinged with a chilling realization. This wasn't just about money, it was about something deeper, something rooted in their unresolved family conflict. Isabel needed answers, needed to understand the reason behind Sophia's cruel act. But before she could delve deeper, another message from Strings jolted her back to the immediate threat. The clock's ticking, Ghost, the message read. The price for my silence goes up with every passing hour. Isabel knew Strings was right. Time was of the essence. But the revelation about Sophia had thrown a wrench into her plans. She couldn't confront her parents yet, not until she understood the source of her sister's animosity. With a steely resolve, Isabel typed her response. I need more time, she wrote, her voice firm despite the turmoil within. And something else, can you tell me the puppeteer's next move? Strings' response was cryptic, a single word that sent shivers down Isabel's spine. Revelation. The screen went dark once more, leaving Isabel in a chilling limbo. The name, the betrayal, the cryptic warning, it was a tangled web of deceit, and Isabel was caught in the center. But she wouldn't back down. Not until she exposed the truth, protected her family, and maybe, just maybe, began to heal the wounds of the past. The weight of revelation hung heavy in the air, a suffocating fog clouding Isabel's judgment. Sophia, the picture-perfect sister, the embodiment of everything their parents approved of, was behind the cyberattack. The betrayal was a bitter pill to swallow, a fresh wound laid bare on the already fractured relationship between them. Sleep eluded Isabel. Her mind, usually a fortress of logic and code, was now a battlefield of emotions, anger, betrayal, and a flicker of something akin to pity. Why would Sophia resort to such drastic measures? Was it mere jealousy, or something deeper, something rooted in their childhood rivalry? The cryptic warning from Strings, revelation, echoed in her mind. It was a chilling reminder that the game was far from over. The puppeteers, notorious for their public humiliation tactics, were planning something even more devastating for her family. But what? And how could she stop them? Isabel knew she couldn't confront her parents yet. The raw truth about Sophia needed to be handled delicately, But time was running out. With a newfound urgency, she dove back into the digital labyrinth, determined to decipher the puppeteer's next move. Days blurred into a relentless pursuit. She scoured forums, infiltrated private chat rooms, and analyzed lines of malicious code, searching for any hint of the puppeteer's plan. The deeper she ventured, the more she realized the complexity of their operation. They were a well-oiled machine, their anonymity their greatest weapon. Frustration gnawed at her. Every dead end felt like a punch to the gut, every cryptic message a taunt. Just when she was about to give in to despair, a glimmer of hope emerged. In a hidden corner of the dark web, hidden within a complex encryption, she found a file, Project Retribution. Her heart pounded as she cracked the code. Project Retribution, it turned out, was a detailed plan for a public expose. The puppeteers intended to leak all of her parents' financial woes, not just to their friends and family, but to the entire world through a series of strategically placed articles and social media posts. The revelation would be devastating, a public shaming that would leave their lives in tatters. Isabel's blood ran cold. This was more than just financial ruin. It was a calculated attempt to destroy their reputation, their social standing, everything they held dear. The anger simmering within her turned white-hot. These weren't just hackers, they were digital terrorists, and she wouldn't let them win. Armed with this knowledge, Isabel knew she had to act fast. But how? Confronting Sophia head-on wouldn't solve anything. She needed a plan, a way to expose her sister's treachery without destroying what little remained of their family. An idea, audacious yet plausible, began to take shape in her mind. It was a risky gamble, one that could potentially backfire spectacularly. But it was her only shot. With a deep breath and a surge of determination, Isabel started crafting her counter-offensive, a digital chess move that could turn the tables on the puppeteers and her vengeful sister. First, she needed to create a diversion, a digital smokescreen to distract the puppeteers long enough to expose their operation. She spent hours crafting a series of fake, incriminating files, meticulously designed to implicate a rival hacking group. With a satisfied smirk, she uploaded them onto strategic servers, ensuring they'd land right in the puppeteer's lap. Next, she needed to reach out to a journalist, someone credible and with a strong sense of justice. After scouring online publications, she found the perfect candidate, a tenacious investigative reporter known for her relentless pursuit of the truth. Under the cloak of anonymity, Isabel leaked a portion of Project Retribution. Enough to pique the journalist's curiosity, but not enough to reveal her own hand. With the diversion and the leak in motion, Isabel knew it was time to confront Sophia. But instead of anger, she opted for a measured approach. She reached out to her sister, not as an ostracized daughter, but as a concerned sibling. The call was tense, filled with years of unspoken resentment. But Isabel held her ground, carefully revealing the truth about the puppeteers and their plan. The raw shock in Sophia's voice was a confirmation of her suspicions. It wasn't just about money, it was about a deep-seated anger, a twisted sense of revenge fueled by years of feeling overshadowed. The conversation was long and arduous, filled with tears and apologies. As the dust settled, a fragile understanding began to form. Sophia, burdened by her own insecurities and a distorted perception of their past, admitted to her mistake. Together, they formulated a final step in Isabel's plan. Sophia, with a newfound remorse, contacted the journalist anonymously, confirming the authenticity of the leaked information and revealing the puppeteer's scheme. It was a desperate attempt to undo the damage and expose the true culprits before their plan could be executed. The wait that followed was agonizing. Would the journalist take the bait? Would the puppeteers fall for the diversion? Would their family survive this ordeal with their dignity intact? Every notification on her phone sent a jolt of nervous anticipation through Isabel. Then, a flurry of news articles broke the internet. Headlines screamed about a notorious hacking group targeting innocent civilians, with leaked evidence pointing directly at the puppeteers. The online world erupted in outrage, turning the tables on the digital terrorists. Following the initial wave of articles, the journalist released a detailed expose on the entire operation, including Sophia's role and her subsequent remorseful confession. The article portrayed the situation with nuance, highlighting the psychological factors that led Sophia down a path of destruction. The public outcry shifted from one of victim blaming to a collective sigh of relief, a shared sense that justice had prevailed. As the dust settled, the impact on Isabel's family was undeniable. Trust had been shattered, relationships strained. But there was also a flicker of hope. The experience, harrowing as it had forced a long overdue conversation, a painful ripping away of old wounds to expose raw vulnerabilities. In the aftermath, Isabel found herself at her childhood home, the once familiar space now holding a new weight of understanding. Her parents, faces etched with exhaustion but tinged with a newfound appreciation, embraced her tightly. Years of unspoken resentment melted away in the warmth of their embrace. "Thank you, Isabel," her mother whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. "You saved us." Isabel looked at them, the knot in her throat threatening to spill over into tears. "We saved each other," she said, her voice cracking with emotion. There were no guarantees for the future. Forgiveness wouldn't come easy, and the scars of the past would likely remain. But for the first time in years, there was a tentative peace, a fragile thread of connection rewoven between them. Isabel knew her life would never be the same. The experience had transformed her, not just as a hacker, but as a daughter, a sister, and a human being. As she stepped back into the digital world, a world that once felt isolating, she carried a newfound understanding of the human heart, its complexities, and its capacity for both darkness and redemption. And in the flickering light of the multiple screens, she finally glimpsed the possibility of a future not just defined by lines of code, but by the strength of mended bonds and the resilience of the human spirit.